What do the sports books think will happen in the fight between Jake Paul and Tommy Fury? Let's find out. I want to take a look here at BetMGM. They've got Jake Paul at minus 145. That means you've got to bet $145 to win back 100. The implied probability for that prop is 59.18%. So the sports books give Jake Paul a 59.18% chance of winning this fight, with Tommy Fury coming back at plus 130, or an implied probability of 43.5%. And that prop includes a potential for a tie at plus 1200, which is actually an implied probability of 7.7%. So if you're looking to bet this fight, you have to believe, if you want to bet on Paul, that you have to give him a greater than 59% chance of winning the fight. That's the basics. I want to talk about these fighters a little bit and then look at some of the alternate props, and the fight goes to decision props and things like that. But Tommy Fury is an 8-0 fighter, and his record is not necessarily impressive for an 8-0. And he's obviously the younger brother of Tyson Fury, and everybody knows who Tyson Fury is, heavyweight champ. He's the man, but this is the younger brother. And take a look at his record. It is not that good. So this is the first time that Jake Paul is really fighting a real boxer, so to speak. But I mean, the record is extremely padded here. And it's not shocking. A lot of fighters do this. 0-11, 0-9. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fights essentially with complete tomato cans. And the other fights haven't been that great either. Anthony Taylor 0-1, Jordan Grant just 2-0. And the best looking one is this Bakansky guy who was 10-1, but he acquired that 10-1 record, beating cans as well. So effectively, Tommy Fury has beaten no one. And who cares? He got to the money fight against Jake Paul, so that's all that matters. He's about to get paid. Good for you. But I think Jake Paul probably handpicked this opponent. He's got a name. He's got some last name value, but does not appear to be very good. And what makes matters worse, he's only got 4 KO finishes out of his 8 fights. And again, when you're fighting cans, you got to finish those cans. So not super impressed by Tommy Fury at all. Jake Paul is 6-0. And again, he's also effectively fought nobody. But at the very least, at least he got a couple of finishes. I mean, he hasn't looked all that great, but, Tyron Woodley, UFC veteran, has had a strike. And so he's a real fighter. And Anderson Silva is a real fighter. So I'm kind of probably a little more impressed by Jake Paul's record than I am of Tommy Fury, as crazy as that sounds. Now, finally, let's take a look at some of the alternate props here. So will the fight go the full 8 rounds? Essentially, will the fight go to decision? The fight goes to decision prop is a solid minus 150, which is a 60% implied probability that this fight will go to decision. I kind of like it to go to decision. I don't think Tommy Fury is knocking out Jake Paul at all. I think if anybody's getting a finish here, it might be Jake Paul late in the fight. Tommy Fury might start to get tired after rounds 4 or 5. Tommy Fury's got a style where he keeps his opponent at a distance. He's very good at using his length. Not that he has any sort of size on Jake Paul, but he's very good at keeping his opponents at the end of his arm's length, keeping them away from him. So he does have some talent there. But Jake Paul has a lot of power, and he's able to generate a lot of that power when he actually closes distance on his opponents. And I think what you'll see is as the fight goes on and Tommy Fury starts to tire, you'll see Jake maybe close that distance and land some of those big shots. Interesting prop here. If you believe me that Jake Paul could win late, one of my favorite ways to target this fight is Jake Paul in rounds 5, 6, or 7, 8. I think as long as Jake Paul wins by finish here, you get a plus 1,000, plus 1,200, round 7, 8 especially, or 5, 6, you can get a pretty decent odds, plus 1,000, which will give you 10-1 or a 10% implied probability of that happening. So 10-1 odds in rounds 5 or 6, and 12-1 odds in rounds 7 or 8. Now, as for a prediction for this fight, I don't know if you could tell by the way I've been discussing it, but while it's close, and, this is the first kind of real boxer that Jake Paul has faced, I think he's actually I think this is a handpicked opponent. He's not in here to lose. He wants to keep his career going. I think Fury wants to get paid. You can't turn down a fight with Jake Paul because this will be the highest paying fight Tommy Fury will have in his entire career. So for that reason, I'm going to pick Jake Paul to get it done here. Who do you think is going to win? Let me know in the comments section below.